All right, guys, we're back with another episode. I think this is 77 or 78, depending on the which recording goes live first. I have a special
Nice.
guest, guys. Tyler, you guys probably all know this guy from Card Talk. Good to have you on. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a bit, so it's nice to see you.
Likewise. I appreciate it. I had fun. I was going back through our DMs from probably over the last 7 years or so. There's some fun combos that we've had, and it's been cool. Obviously, a big last kind of 2 weeks in the space of all things footy cards, but it's just a continued progression of, I would say, kind of awareness around hobby and sports cards in general. Things are good. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk some
That's
footy.
good, man. That's great. That's great. And I know with you guys, I've been listening to you guys the last few episodes you guys have been on with Lou and Card Collector 2. So that's been nice to see you guys back in the space. And I like your pod because you guys do kind of you touch on everything, right? Where I'm kind
Yeah,
of just focused in one area. So it's nice to kind of relax from the footy talk always and listen to something different.
I appreciate that. That means a lot.
So if you guys are not listening to Card Talk Pod, take a look at them. Also, Tyler, I think unfortunately this is probably not going to come out today, but I know you're doing a Whatnot show tonight.
Yes.
So I
And it's
hope
largely going to be footy singles. It's the first one that I've ever done. I'm doing it as Card Talk Live. Frankly, I'm a bit nervous, but I'm gonna rip it and run it. And if
you'll
some
be
people
fine.
show up and want to buy some soccer cards, like,
Yeah.
we're here for
Yeah.
it.
That'll be fun. Yeah. So you brought up something really interesting at the start here where we were talking about what the market's doing right now with Messi and Ronaldo and Lamine Yamal, right? I'm a data guy, so I like to look at numbers, and I haven't really kind of dove into how much of that is all of those three guys combined, because I'm seeing other guys sell for substantial money right now. What's your take on what's going on here right now? I know I heard you on your pod the other day talking about the shift in kind of the asset class and moving away from the dollar into some other type of assets. But what's your theory on this?
So my theory, like at large, and then from football, soccer as well, is like I think that there's some cycles happening in terms of like those that have dollars. If we're focusing on some of the bigger high end sales that have made headlines or the total volume across, I think that time is doing its job. COVID, work from home, entrepreneurship, internet, and social media, the explosion, like it continues to happen. As someone that for the last 12 years has been on the front line of what I would say creator economy, how the internet works, how brands are being built on the internet, how that's driving commerce, I think there's just a maturation of that happening with a confluence of the dollar, if you want to say less valuable or more supply, right? Like I think some of the prices that are happening are actually vis-a-vis to 21, 75% of what the sticker price is if
Yeah,
you just equate, right? So like
sure.
you're a numbers guy, that makes sense to you. So I think that
Yeah,
there's this shock value a little bit, but some things are same. It's just the dollar is not being stretched as far. I think that we're there's this derivative of investing. I think, and things are culminating right now. Summer is obviously a time when a lot of people have free time, parents and their kids are getting involved. But like if you are an asset manager or if you're the person that's involved, because there are many that have funds, you got $500 million, under management, or you're sitting on your own stockpile of cash because you've had real growth over the last 4 years. Like diversifying is happening, and you're realizing like there's just financial games that are being played that I think the general consumer maybe sometimes doesn't see. But your ability, because of again the maturation of
yeah.
PSA, of Fanatics, what Fanatics collect means, right? From a
Mm,
like a real substantial business in Fanatics, and then how you can get those cards appraised and then draw down loans on them or things like that and put them in vaults and store. Like there's a lot I think that's happening, that the legitimacy of alternative assets. I mean, crypto. We've gone through these cycles where in 2018 on Bloomberg TV or on CNBC, they're talking about crypto as a joke,
yeah. Yep.
and now
Yep.
Bitcoin, that was 1 cent in our
Yeah.
lifetime, is now trading at $115,000 or $110,000. You can't laugh at that anymore.
No, you can't.
Baseball cards that were a joke, after so many times that a card sells for $100,000, people start to take it a little bit serious. So I just think there's a maturation. And what I do think you're going to see is a less look, I think we're in a boom. I think that there's a lot that's going on right now in general in life. That's what happens. Things expand,
Yeah.
then they shrink a little bit less. Then they expand more, they shrink a little bit less. But I think as things will happen, volatility, there won't be as much. There
No,
won't
I
be as
agree.
much, and
I
things will
think
be somewhat here to stay. And I think that's what's happening right now is that people, these really one of ones, are you're talking about 20 Messi cards in that PSA 10. You're talking about 38 in that Ronaldo. That's not a lot.
no, it's
It's
not.
really not a lot, and it only takes a couple people to recognize that, buy the thing, and just put it on ice. They're not looking for 20% returns. They're looking to have it in a vault 50 years from now and reappraise it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, you start to think about that, specifically those cards, and they're 20 years old now at this point, over 20 years old. There's some significance there. And the soccer market, one of the things I did on my pod, I did at a pod that released actually today, I think, or yesterday. I talked about how I think the soccer market is kind of in a maturity phase right now. Because if we look back and we look at, and I'm really kind of starting to take a look at this, the 90s cards of soccer, those cards are like the 40s, 50s, 60s of baseball cards. I think we're going to start to see some movement there. There's one guy I specifically talked about on my pod this week that I really don't want to enunciate it because I'm trying to get one of those because I don't have one of those because I think it's really undervalued. So I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's people are looking for different things. The economy is kind of getting back on track too as well. So that's a big factor. But one of the things that worries me though with this is like in during the COVID time, we had a lot of people come in kind of towards the tail end where stuff kind of started to kind of dip a little bit. And then, I mentioned this a lot, but I was interacting with a lot of people that left the hobby and never came back. And now they'll probably see another window again. I'm going to try to get in again when the boom's happening and probably get crushed again. How do we prevent that from happening? You know what I mean? From people, I'm trying to tell people you got to be fiscally, financially responsible. Don't stretch yourself. I guess, rule number one for me usually is start with, buy what you like and
Yeah.
that you're going to enjoy. I've had a lot of luck with my Joao Nev stuff.
Yep.
I bought them
Nice.
really early, and I haven't sold any. I have the one of one select on Golden right now, actually,
Sick.
in a PSA 10. So I just figured, it's a card that I have. I have the gold version, I have the gold auto, I have the immaculate patch, game worn. I had all this other stuff. I don't need that card. So I guess for me, it's kind of like I want more people to come in, right? But how do we keep them here without them getting
Yeah. I
irresponsible?
think that there's a couple different things. I do think we are in a different phase than 2021. And the reason why I think about that, I think about like Zion, and I think about right now, if you want, NBA rookie, right? Like gambling, what's happened with gambling in this country in the last 5 years, a lot of that is happening on Whatnot from a breaking standpoint.
Yep.
That wasn't really the same actions that were being taken in 2021. That was more, I'm going to buy as many Zion PSA 10s as possible and hold them because it's going to go up forever. And then
Yeah.
whoever is stuck with the bag is kind of out. That's been taken away a little bit by repacks.
Mm.
Right? Like there is a liquidity market for repacks because that has become a really viable business both physically, and you
Yeah.
see PSA, GameStop, but digitally as well. What Courtyard has done and what everyone else now is going to be getting into is just this financial arbitrage, which is we're going to stack that, we're going to have a floor, you're going to pay, and we know the amount that we're guaranteed to make money, and it's just casino. Like if I'm being super frank with you,
It really is. It
and
really is.
that infrastructure was not set up in 2021. It was just you have to sell it to a buyer that believes it's going to go higher. And there are so many buyers. If you go to shows now, like the 80% comp, take it blindly, is because people have understood repack business and they're understanding, okay, father, son, or the 22-year-old that has a degeneracy like a little bit that was throwing $5 or $10 on a bet on DraftKings now can also just do a repack and get their
Yeah.
80% money back like that on a bad day. So
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
think that there's a little bit more of a flow, like of a security. I think that there's also a little bit more education because anyone that's coming in on the tail end is becoming much more aware of this happened in 2021. In 2021, there wasn't that. It
There
was
was. You're
junk
right. You're
wax.
correct. You're
Your look
correct.
back was junk wax.
Yeah.
Now, unless you're like 19 or 18, maybe like I don't think there's many people that are saying, "Oh, it's hot. I missed it. I'm seeing it. My feet is being flooded. Let me get back in." But not so many that are just like I'm just gonna buy Estival rookies like crazy
Yeah.
because they're gonna 4x in a month. I don't see that same thing happening. Pokemon is happening a little bit, but just the demand. And again, I think that is like a more of a toy thing, like parents for their
Yeah.
kids, and but again, I think the repack business, which I think will be healthy and be around for a long time, because there's just smarter people that are coming in. There's more
Yeah.
entrepreneurs that are coming in a lot of ways that are allowing some more sustainability. I'm not saying people that there isn't, like a couple areas where it's like, hey, you got to be careful, but that, that's risk reward, and that's happening all over the place. You can go to Robinhood and buy some stocks. People got burned
Yep.
on Tesla when Tesla was ripping, and Elon says a couple things. 1 second he's right hand to the president, second 2 minutes later he's ostracized out, and people are holding that back. So I think that there is still upside for sure. My buddy was just telling me he bought a case of 151 Pokemon and made 40% in the last 6 weeks. But
Crazy.
which is returns that are
Yeah.
bananas.
Yep.
You can also find them in a lot of other areas at times too. But I don't think that the floor is going to get pulled out as easily because the liquidation areas people want to buy and repack.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't really participate in many repacks. Once in a while, I'll go into a break, but I buy singles more so. Even
Yeah,
I think as you become more educated and you have a little more disposable income, you say, you know what, I'm just going to go in and buy the single.
correct.
Never mind chasing a card in a break that I'm probably not going to hit.
Totally.
And that
Now, a
comes
lot of
with
people do.
age.
A lot of
Yeah,
people do.
and it's fun.
I think the next wave that we're gonna see is and there's this one kid that's doing it with like Collectors MD. Like, there's a lot of, and I know this. I was just at my fantasy football draft with my buddies, 20th year. Like, what sports gambling was, and then now the awareness, the mental health, like there is that happening. People are just sitting on what not breaking, just like buying into slots. But like the singles, you're starting to see that happening more on whatnot. There's more education around collecting, enjoying, and then potentially flipping out of. So yeah, there's all these different factors that are happening that I think are different than 2021, which was just like buy low, sell high,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't lose.
One of the interesting things I have noticed, though, that is very interesting to me is that, we've seen the market kind of soccer primarily is like the number. I looked at Card Ladder for the last month. It's the highest sport in terms of rate of growth, about 46%.
Mhm.
But the wax is not moving as high as some of these cards are. And I think that's a good indicator of knowledge on the collector side and on the seller side,
Yeah,
right? Um,
I
that
agree.
wax is not like, it's not ballooning up like you would have thought like in 21 it would do that, right?
Yeah.
Wax would go
Well, I think
crazy.
also the sport just lends itself so differently to the traditional wax sports market. And what I mean
Mhm.
by that is there isn't really rookie classes in soccer.
There isn't.
It doesn't work that way.
You gotta find it.
You have to find it and you have to understand. And a lot of times kids like someone that I have my real eye on is this kid Nico Paz right now, who's in Como, but is a Real Madrid kid.
Yeah, I covered him last week on the podcast. You should go listen to it. I'll give you my thoughts on him.
I would love to, right? But you typically would have someone like Nico Paz coming out of college and like waiting for the release, and then everyone's hammering that and breaking to
Yeah.
find the Nico Paz. That isn't really how it works. You don't really know about these prospects without them. I guess the Arsenal kid maybe doesn't have a great card or product that's out right now.
It doesn't have one yet. No.
Yeah, the
And then on
Liverpool
top
kid that just scored the one goal. But this is what'll happen. Like that kid scores that goal, he might not have a meaningful moment again for 2.5 years.
this is true, this is true. And the Arsenal kid actually did not get put on the Champions League squad for Arsenal either. So,
So
there you have
that
it,
is different.
Yeah.
When a kid gets picked number one, literally the $1 billion franchises are betting their future on these kids in typical American sports. So I think that there's a little bit of a differentiation in that lends itself to a little bit more collectability around soccer and a little bit more of a knowledge than just like a hunt a prospect and go there.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of the, low risk, high ceiling, high reward, right? Like take a chance on somebody, watch them, do the eye test on them. Like, for example, this week I talked about William Gomes at Porto. He's got 2 goals in 3 games already for Porto, scored in the Sporting Derby. Fantastic Brazilian kid, 19 years old. so exciting winger because his cards you can I mean, well, his cards are starting to go up now. So, but I bought a tie dye for under 15 bucks, of 25. So and he's only got one rookie. It's select.
Yep.
So, when you can find stuff like that, it's interesting. But at the same time, you got to put yourself, if you love the player and you collect them, that's fine and all, you keep them. But if you're in it for the money, you got to figure out when to move that player, when the opportunistic moment is to move that player.
Yeah.
And that's what I fear for people coming into the hobby. But I think people are the newer people. There's a lot of new people I get in my DMs that listen to my podcast and they ask questions. And I think all of us can do a better job of trying to educate these new people to keep them in here.
Yeah.
And that's something I really strive to do. I think people need to do that more. I know there's a money aspect to it at the end of the day, but it's important. The
Yeah,
other
I
thing,
agree. Right there with you. I agree.
the now let's talk some footy here. So you were talking about Nico Paz, right? What do you like about him? What do you like about him?
I think that there's a couple of things I like. I was able to go out to Como to see a match out there, and I think
Very
that
nice.
that was sick. I think that they are a team that will have some media awareness, and they're like on this trajectory overall right now that he fits in as a young stud. That if they continue to play well and he's on the pitch, there will be a lot around him in general. Then
Sure.
he's got a lot of eyeballs on him. He's playing well. Obviously started off the season with that
He's
bang
got
on the
a
free
very good
kick.
coach with a lot of experience.
Correct. He's a Real Madrid prospect that still has like a sell-on clause. Chances are, if all goes well and nothing crazy happens, he goes back to Real next year. So he's got that runway in front of him. And young Argentinian kid like Messi could just like eyeballs that'll be on Messi with World Cup coming up. If he ends up on the bench and pops in once or two times, young wonder kid, Real Madrid kind of checks all of those boxes. That's in Como, which is the new project. Everyone in the
Yeah.
world knows about Lake Como, the most beautiful place in the world. You got Wrexham reinvigorating this town. Oh, here comes this Como project that is really like, what club is that? They were nothing in the Italian league, get a ton of money, work their way up, doing their thing. Now they're in Serie A playing against the big boys. Oh, by the way, you know how many people go to Como randomly and then they're going to build the stadium? So I think that there's a lot of surrounding,
Yes. Yep.
which are always things that I'm paying attention to because, like, look, tennis. Likely on Sunday, Yannick Sinner is going to play Carlos Alcaraz. Yannick Sinner is the number one tennis player in the world. He does not have the cultural pizzazz and energy behind him like Carlos Alcaraz does. You just look at them play, he's bang on insane. But from a narrative, storytelling, behind the mic, all that these things go into, at the end of the day, it's all narratives and storytelling. It's
It
a
is. It
beautiful
is.
thing about sports. It's unscripted drama at its finest.
It's whoever tells the best story wins,
Correct.
essentially. You
And
know
so
what I
when I think
mean?
about Nico Paz, boom, first and foremost, could he be a great player? Does he have the ability to potentially be a long-term stud at one of the greatest clubs, whether that's Real or elsewhere? Yes, he has that potential. Will that come through? Who knows? But then you start to tell the story around, and I say, okay, there's a prospect that I could find interesting to collect because then I become part of that journey.
Yes, exactly. And you attach yourself to that player. It's
Correct.
kind of like me with João Neves, right? Scores a hat trick last weekend, two bicycle kicks, and then a banger outside the box. And I'm sitting here with his great cards that I barely spent any money on it a year and a half ago. So I'm happy.
Yep.
So you
And
feel
my
like you,
three guys previously, Joao Felix,
yeah.
that's been a fun journey to follow.
Don't give up on him yet. He scored a hat trick over the weekend.
Trust me, I haven't. I haven't. Although I'll be selling most of his cards tonight on whatnot if anyone has interest. And then Sancho, which frankly has been a sad tale in a lot of ways. Like the Chelsea report just came out on why they bailed on him, like guy not showing up here, there, what have you. I had all bangers of his stuff. And then Paul Pogba, who I actually weirdly think is going to backdoor into the World Cup next summer.
I do
I
too.
really think he's actually going to end up being a piece for that France team next summer because he got cleared. October, he should be coming fit, playing in Monaco, and like stayed home in France, which was, I think, very strategic. Deschamps
Yep.
was like, we're going to give this one last go because when he plays and he's fit and healthy,
Difference maker.
there are few that look like him out there. And so
Exactly.
that's someone I'm still kind of holding out a little hope for a late pop on. And then as just we're just flowing, like, and it's like I don't want to say this because I'm making moves myself, but I'm going to say it. I just think Mbappe has been forgotten in some ways,
I agree.
and I think that the potential for that script to flip back is so large. I mean, we are one Messi magical moment away from him having 2 World Cups under his belt. Like, you just the thing what happens is when we love people so much, we hate them that they get that much hate, and I
Yes, yep.
think that happened why? Because the kid went to Paris, did everything he could in his humanly power for the longest time, and then wanted to go fill out his dream and went to Real Madrid that people don't like him anymore. Look at the numbers, look at the stats, look at what he's done at his age.
Nobody's
Few
done that.
and he still has a massive career in front of him. Going into the World Cup is one of the favorites. So like, and he's been a guy that I've collected since that 2018 set. Like, I'm just so bullish on Mbappe's market
I
right
mean,
now.
I still think he's the best player in the world, but that's just me, you know what
I
I mean?
agree with you.
So, he might not win the Ballon d'Or this year, but he still, to me, is the best player in the world. Now, the other guy's forgotten about is Holland a little bit. Holland's
Yeah.
kind of been and he'll be at the World Cup probably too with Norway.
Yep. Yep.
And they got an interesting team as well. So,
They do.
I'm excited, and I know you're a Denmark fan in some
Yeah. Yeah.
ways,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
I, I
Very much
really
so.
I really I really like Conrad Harder. He went off to
Interesting.
Leipzig. He was from Sporting Lisbon. They sold him
Okay.
off. And they got about 25 million. Like, pretty expensive. He's a good little player um, to watch out for
I'm
Denmark.
not familiar with his game.
He's a striker. He's a 9.
Conrad Harder. It's because I've
Yeah.
been following my boy freaking Rasmus, who I think will actually go over to Napoli and do some good things.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Yeah,
I
man, we'll
gotta
have to
check
do this
him out.
again. I know you're running on a time
Yeah,
budget
like I
here.
would love it. I mean, all day. We could chat. So what's you is that Emirates your background?
No, this is the Stade
Where
de Luz, Benfica Stadium.
home of
By the
my
way,
boy
before we jump off, on September 27th, there's an all soccer card show down in New Jersey,
in Jersey, right?
in Clark, New Jersey.
Yep.
I'm going because I've been helping out Paul with some of the promotion for it, but the tables are all
What
sold out.
time? When does it kick off? What's the deal?
9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, the 27th. There is a trade night on the 26th at 8:30 p.m. at the Holiday Inn down the street.
Okay.
So if you're
I
looking at
am gonna do my absolute best. I'm a
hooked on
Jersey
soccer
guy,
cards,
so
yeah. So if you have time, obviously, want to let you know that that's going on there. And I
I love
understand you
that.
got engaged recently, right?
Yep, that I did.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you, brother.
Marriage is a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing.
I'm loving the journey. I'm very fortunate. I got a one-on-one, you know?
That's what I say, man, about my wife too. We had our first baby 2 years ago, so
That's amazing.
the kids
Congrats.
are great too. So hopefully that'll come for you soon too.
Yep.
But
That
Tyler,
is,
thanks again,
that's
man,
my
for jumping
prayers.
on.
Thank you, brother. I
We'll
appreciate it.
definitely
It's
do
great
this
to see
again.
you. Yeah,
I think
please.
it's good to talk about footy with you, especially.
Means a lot.
And thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks for the time.
All
Anything
right.
I can do to
See ya.
help, you just let me know when this is gonna go live and I'll push it and support it the whole 9.
Awesome.
Great seeing you, bro.
Thanks.